So this is a coming out panel coming out online, so I thought it'd be great to kick things off with everyone's coming out story for those that might not have seen everyone's videos, and I think we have to start with Elle Mills.
The way it came out was I kind of told my backstory and like how I figured it out, and then I filmed me coming out to my friends by describing my crush to them and making them draw what they think they looked like, and they all drew these boys, and I showed them off camera my crush, and they were like, oh my god, yeah, that's that. And then I came out to my family by wrapping my entire house in rainbow wrapping paper. Yeah, subtle. And
go big or go home.
Yeah, exactly. And the response to that actually was super overwhelming, but like all positive. And so my coming out experience online has been just like the best thing, and obviously it completely changed my life because that video is my most popular video. Yeah, it's just been a crazy ride since then.
I never came out. I was just born gay. I was born this way, baby. So, I started my channel, I think, when I was like 20, 21. So I was already gay. I was doing makeup. I was very that. But I think growing up, my parents, they're Filipino, so they never really, I never had like an official coming out. They just knew I was so gay. They were so supportive of me because I grew up with no uncles, no cousins, no grandparents, no relatives except just my immediate family in Orlando, Florida. So they had no choice but to accept me, and I was taught to love, and I guess that's how I came out. Yeah.
So, I mean, I am also gay and on YouTube and making videos, and I actually started making videos before I even knew myself that I was gay. So, having sort of spent the last 10 years on YouTube, I've kind of been on this journey with my audience and almost sort of lived it on YouTube. So, for the first few years, I wasn't gay and hadn't told any of my friends and hadn't told my parents. So, there just came a point where naturally I was telling more people and figuring things out for myself, and there was just a nice moment where I decided that I was ready to share that with my audience, and it really helped me sort of realize myself, being able to sort of talk about it online, and sort of from that point it kind of changed my content and just allowed me to be myself a bit more and just enjoy everything, and yeah, and so it was great for me.
I don't know how mine didn't have any idea that I was gay. It was weird. I came out to a couple of girlfriends in school as a kind of a tester. Like, if they don't take it well, then I'm not telling anyone ever. And thankfully they were great. When the girls in school sort of took it well and they applauded it, it came time to tell my parents. My mom was great about it, and I waited 9 months before telling my father. And then when it came time to tell him, I couldn't physically, now I'm sure a lot of you have actually experienced this in the coming out process, I couldn't physically make my mouth make the words. I was disabled here, and then I grabbed a school book that I had, I tore out the back page and I wrote the words, I'm gay, and I slid it across to him, and he just looked at it for what felt like an eternity, and then he said, everything's gonna be okay, son, everything's gonna be okay, we're gonna fix this. And what he meant by that was, yeah, we're going to fix you and make you straight. And the plan was, him and my uncle were going to send me to Saudi Arabia, where there are really pretty girls, apparently, and I was going to see the light. But thankfully, he saw the right kind of light before that ever happened. And he has begun to love me. He loves my boyfriend. He comes to pride marches. He gets drunk with drag queens. He is like an activist. And if you can go from that to that, I think there's hope for anyone.
What is it like to share your sexual identity with millions of people online?
It's been, there's times where I'm like, oh, I feel a lot of pressure to be like representative for like a big group of people. But honestly, everyone's just been really sweet. And when people come up to me and say I helped them come out, like it's really heartwarming. And I don't know, it's just been kind of like inspiring and all that, yeah.
I think just by doing makeup and existing and using makeup as my medium to make people not just look good on my side of the camera, but also for the other side feel good. There's some sort of satisfaction that's do good, feel good when I'm able to leverage my being with these celebrities that I have worked with and made up on my channel and just having natural conversation, because what I'm doing is creating the new norm of my being in the LGBTQ community and getting clout off these celebrities so they can, that's just the truth. That's just the damn truth. I just did Naomi Campbell on my channel last week, and we just had great conversations. So for people that are fans of her or followers of her can see her having a normal conversation with a big gay man is amazing. And I've done that with Katy Perry, Kim Kardashian, Kris Jenner, and I'm just helping the kids because, you know, I'm sure with all of us we get DMs. You save my life, you make me happy, and that's I realize that big brother, big sister role for me, that's our due diligence to keep a positive light and inspire people to stay on this earth because they are worth it. So I think for viewers out there, for me to leverage this visibility is just awesome, I think, when it comes to social media.
Have you guys sort of used YouTube and looked up to other YouTubers as sort of role models? Have you found that YouTube's helped you with your own sort of journeys and discovering yourself?
Yeah, I very openly and often talk about Tyler Oakley was my kind of savior back in the day. He just appeared on my computer and I was like, this young little twinky blonde dude in his college dorm seems to be speaking to me as my best friend, and he's gay and he's not ashamed and he's smiling and gay. That was the big thing. He was happy but also existing as a homosexual person. And I thought, well, if he can do it, then I can do it. I'm growing up in Ireland. Okay, maybe it might not be as open as, I think you went to college in LA, but I thought that there was even a glimmer of hope for me there. And not only was it kind of the hope to begin my journey as an out and proud LGBT person, it was also the beginning of the creative aspect of buying that camera, starting that vlog, and making those videos. But when I started, like you, Doug, I wasn't making anything LGBT because I wasn't fully sure of what my identity was. And all of the people, you know, they were commenting saying, that was funny, that made me laugh, I liked that video. I learned something from it. And then the minute I started talking about identity, the comments changed from that to, like you said, Patrick, you've saved my life. Can I speak to you about how I can come out? Can you speak to my parents? Can you coach me on this? And that is the most rewarding thing in the world, because you're not just speaking to another queer person, a queer sibling. You're speaking to yourself at 16, yourself at 14 when you needed it.
And Elle, you're also nodding along there. Have you found sort of YouTube really helped you with your process of coming out?
I think YouTube was the reason I was able to figure it out, honestly. I kind of like had that first spark at a YouTube convention that you were at, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so like, I don't know. For me, obviously, watching YouTubers during that process of me trying to figure out what I am, I was like looking, I'm like at different like labels, I'm like, and what their experience was and how they figured it out, and that was super helpful. But honestly, for me, talking to actual YouTubers like at conventions and stuff, and like explaining to them what I feel and having them talk to me face to face was the most helpful thing. Thank you. I needed that.
Did you want to say something? Yeah,
I think as when it comes to beauty, I think a lot of the validation for me as a gay person to simply exist and come out the house and dress like this was from beauty conventions too, and also the comments and reading messages and DMs really pushed me to continue, because, you know, like when you're alone and you feel different and you feel afraid. I grew up in Orlando, Florida, but I didn't have any friends of that sort. So through social media, with the power of social media, I was able to connect through like hashtags IG makeup boys, IG MUA boys, IG makeup men, and I was able to find this loophole in a portal of LGBTQ people in the beauty industry to help me, I guess, do what I do today. Yeah.
And it's interesting that you've just always been gay and yourself on YouTube, and that you never sort of had to feel like you had to post like a coming out video. But there was sort of a time, I feel like maybe 5 years ago, where there were a lot of people that were still closeted, and that there was a bit of still that sort of sense of people worried that if they did come out that they might sort of lose followers, or it might sort of suddenly change everything for them. Do you think that's gone away now and that people can totally just relax and be themselves, or do you think there is still a bit of negativity around, I mean, do you still get lots of negative comments and things like that for your sexuality, and how do you sort of
I think
deal with that?
everyone's coming out journey is a very, very individual thing, dependent on so many variables. So we're talking, you know, where did you grow up? How accepting are your parents? What kind of job are you in? What kind of school are you in? And what kind of resources do you have at your fingertips to seek help? What kind of education have you yourself had to know that you aren't a sick, disgusting, broken individual, that you are fine? You know, you're more than fine. You're unique. So I think the more time that passes, the more it seems good to be LGBT, not just okay, but good. And I remember for a long, long time thinking that, you know, the dream I have of being a journalist, the dream I have of being a documentary filmmaker is going to be absolutely destroyed and taken away from me because I once put on a pair of heels, because I once put on a set of lashes and walked up and down a stage singing, or lip-syncing, sorry, I cannot sing, lip-syncing to Florence and the Machine. And it's like, I couldn't have been more wrong. I'm now being, you know, asked by production companies, hey, could you do, you know, a documentary about drag kids? And then when I tell them, oh, I used to do drag, they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. Yeah, let's do it. It's like, actually, it's the opposite. Being original, being different, being brave gets you more work, not less.
Patrick, how was it for you before you sort of got into the whole YouTube side of things? Obviously, not as, you know, makeup is traditionally a sort of female thing. So like, did you find there was any negativity around that, trying to get into what you found was your passion?
I think the only negativity was myself. It was like a lot of self-doubt because, you know, like I worked at Mac before in Orlando, Florida at the mall. So there was like a few gay folk in there doing makeup, but they weren't like, you know, they were a lot older, but I had to come to terms with myself to get over that hump of self-doubt. Like, can I do this? Am I fierce enough? Like, I feel ugly, I'm overweight. It was just so much shit in my own head that stopped me from wanting to do things. But then once I found just a few people, like Gaga says, there could be 100 people in the room, but it only takes one. And that one person actually let me stay on his couch in LA. And I worked with him at Mac. His name is Steven. And just through finding friends, that's what I love about these conventions, is you're able to find a group of people like us, make 3 friends today. I think that's the best way that you can kind of feel validated. If you've traveled really far, try to make 3 friends, get like follow each other back. And I think that's what makes it really special and okay, because you don't feel alone. I think as professionally that was mine, because they are, you know, when you go into like a new job and those bitches have their fucking click already, like they're like already clickety clackety clickety, and you the new kid. That was me, and I only had so much confidence to get in the door, but to not stay. I was always so scared to like come back to work if they would like me or this. And like one day I think I started making conversation with people at work, and then they got to know me for who I was, not for the makeup that I did. It was janky, but you know, for just opening up, I think they were able to see beyond the persona.
Awesome. And Elle, for you, you came out fairly recently, only sort of a year and a bit ago. And although it's obviously not totally easy to come out still, it is like a lot easier than maybe 10 or 20 years ago. But did you still find there was negativity around that, or did you? Was there anyone that you told that didn't react how you expected?
No, honestly, I had seen YouTubers come out throughout the years, and I knew that for the most part, I think almost always, it's been always positive. And for me, that's what it was completely positive. But to be fair, I didn't really read the comments too far after a day. Like, I don't know, like I don't really look for the hate. But I think it's been really positive. But I think for me, the only like negative part of it, experience of it, was I was so scared of how that I would get a negative reaction that I just ended up not telling people personally who I should have told personally. Like, for example, I didn't tell my sister personally. She found out through a friend who said, hey, did you see Elle's video? And she was very hurt by that. And so I let fear to kind of like take a toll on that. And so like, I think that was my only regret from the whole experience, and the only negative thing that have had happened. But obviously everyone was so super accepting, and it's been good so far. Good first year.
If you could tell yourself anything before you came out, so the person who was struggling with all the issues and wasn't sure how to go about coming out to their family and friends, if you could tell that person one thing now, what would that be for you guys?
Chill. That's mine. I was so stressed. I was so sad. I just remember, I think I cried every second night for like a few months. And it was just really dark. But at the same time, I don't know if I would want to tell myself that, because I feel like I learned a lot from that experience, and I grew from that. And so.
What was the crying for? What were the thoughts that made you feel that sad?
I was scared. I was confused, and I was like, I'm making my life harder. I was like, this is just gonna make my life harder than it has to be, and so those were the thoughts, and I was just kind of mad at myself. I'm like, oh man, this is
another thing.
Yeah, another thing wrong, another thing going, and like it was just, and also I had a crush on someone, so like I was really sad about
Who?
that.
Can't imagine who.
Damn it.
You all know, right?
God damn it.
This is what happens when you share your life.
I know. I share it online and whatever. I made some money off of it, so it's all good.
I think I'd want to really sit down with young Riyadh and have a long, loving, caring conversation with them, and a few hugs. Like you, Elle, I used to sit in bed and cry a lot. And then get really excited about like Zac Efron and then cry again. Like why am I like loving the look of his chest and his jawline, and oh God, even now. Sorry, Josh, my boyfriend. But I used to close my eyes and think of the female form and try and psychologically trick myself into being straight. Get excited about that, please, Riyadh, please. I used to like tear pages out of magazines of pretty, models, and I could look at it and go, I know this is an amazing looking human being, but she is not doing anything for me. And so what I'd say is stop thinking that you're disgusting, that you don't have a right to fancy Zac Efron. Zac Efron is there to be fancied. That's his purpose. For God's sake, Riyadh, embrace it. And know that actually the thing you most hate about yourself is soon going to be the thing you most love about yourself.
Awesome. For me, it took me quite a few years to figure out that I was gay, and it wasn't until I was sort of well into my teens. But then it also then took me still quite a few years to tell friends, and then tell family, and then come out online. And I think all the time I was just, I never thought there would be a bad reaction. I was just kind of just putting it off for no reason. I was just worried just in case there might be someone who did have a bad reaction. That it felt easier just to not deal with it and just to put it off and just push it further down the line. And so it did take me quite a few years before I was fully comfortable telling people and being myself. So my only regret, and what I would sort of tell my younger self, is that I wish I'd just done it sooner, because it was so much easier than I ever thought it would be. Everyone was just so positive and like so nice about it, and there were no bad reactions for me. Obviously, in some circumstances, that's not always the case for everyone. But for me, I just wish I'd come out sooner, basically, and it just allowed me to sort of be myself more. So, what advice would you give to people that are still potentially in the closet, that might also be worrying about people's reactions? Or perhaps even friends of those people that might just be allies? What can they do to sort of help support people to come out and to be themselves?
I think just well, that was like a whole bunch of questions somewhere. Yes. You know that, right? Okay.
Sorry, vamp.
Check it. Okay, so I think when it comes to like friends or family, if you know that someone is hiding something from you, or a little flamboyant or whatnot, just let them know that you're there as a friend, and that you can you just tell them, tell them, hey, I'm here for you.
You don't have to name it though. I think that's the main thing.
Yeah,
I found.
don't name it. Just when it comes to anything, so they can feel comfortable. I think that's why I stress these conventions, to make a friend. You just never know. We're so lucky that an organization like VidCon is able to put on a stage, put on these lights, rent out this amazing venue to allow people to come in to connect. So don't be anti-social. We're all on social media. The service that you can do is to not be social at a social media event. So I challenge all of you to make a friend today. Make a couple friends today. That's what it has to be. And yeah, just reassurance and time. Don't poke the bear, like, you know, you had like time and you waited on your own terms. I had my own terms, and you know, you waited for your dad. So I think that's just what it takes for a person. And if you are in the closet, and you know, just know that you're special. You deserve to be on this earth. You're amazing, and there's more to life. And I think, like, I always use a stupid analogy, like a flower, you have to push through dirt before you blossom. So those are the growing pains that you're feeling right now. Just let them know that,
That's
you know,
awesome.
yeah.
I love that.
I love that. Standing ovation.